looks like they're doing something with them, but I don't know.
Back up.
All right, coming back into open session, there is no action or announcements to take at this time, item 5C. Moving on then to item 5D, restoration of good reader functionality.
Mr. Chair, I think I can take that one. I'll try to be brief. I sent an email correspondence to the full board yesterday with a memo relative to the functionality. Bottom line up front, the functionality has been restored. If you have any difficulties as set forth in the memo, please reach out to IT staff, and we have some today that can help you. I also want to, on the front end, apologize for the significant inconvenience. I know I was contacted by a number of members, so we did work to restore that. I think my memo lays out a couple of the pieces that I think lend itself well to really the guidance I'm hoping to get from this committee today, and that's on our proposed course of action. As I laid out in the memo, there's not only issues relative to Goodreader and the functionality that are derived or driven by the website being hosted on a third-party server, but there's also the fact that the Goodreader application is limited to Apple devices. So one of the things that CCIT has been tasked with moving forward in the next several months is working to replace the county board, city council, and North Central healthcare devices. This experience has led me to one very clear takeaway, and I apologize, it was painful for me to learn this. For all of you, it was painful. I really am thinking that our proposed course of action should be the county board should be in charge of figuring out what devices and the software that is then capable of operating on those devices it needs in consultation, again, with the city council and the North Central board, to the extent there can be consultation, to give that direction to IT. We tested the fix before I sent the memo, the fix relative to Goodreader. I wanted to test that, so I came into the ERC committee meeting on Tuesday, and I asked a supervisor to explain, I'm asking you to test this before I send out this memo. Can you test your Goodreader sync function? And their response was, I never have used Goodreader sync. Why would anyone use it? I only use the website. And then I went to another supervisor just down the line. My first response was, cool, can you still try it just to see if it works? And it did. And then I went to the next supervisor down the line just to at least try it twice. And that supervisor expressed, I rely on Goodreader all the time. I use it for all my meetings. And it also worked, which led me to send the memo. So I think if staff make a decision, we are inevitably going to let you down, some of you. My hope is that my proposed course of action is to take the next several months to go through a selection process with volunteers from the board and the other two entities I talked about to give that direction to CCIT. It's going to take some time. We do have funding for this. This was funded as part of the previous budget. But that is going to drive the software choice, because one of the things I've heard from a number of board members, I don't know if it's a plurality or a majority, is that the keyboard functionality, for example, on the iPad devices is not up to their expectation. Well, if we move away to for lack of a better term, like some sort of Android or Chromebook device, Goodreader's not an option. So we want to take this in an iterative process, which is not fundamentally unlike how we do capital projects and IT projects with departments. But it is unlike we've done them in the past for the county board. I think we just bought that iPad devices and put an application on and everyone used it. But this would represent a change if we went away, or if we stayed with iPads, of course, Goodreader could continue to be a possibility. However, there are some security issues that we need to start going down this path of determining ultimately which device and which software we're going to use, because there are some security issues that we would need to take some long-term fixes on as well. That was one of the things that delayed our fix, and again, I apologize for that. But we were able to mitigate that, and we believe that that fix will remain in effect certainly through this session of the board, which is our hope is to roll out these new devices with the new board and do a mass training of everyone all at once. So I know that was a bit lengthy, but I guess the insight I'm looking for, the guidance I'm looking for is really on that proposed course of action in the middle of the memo that I sent out. Does that make sense? Am I missing the mark? Am I not thinking about something so that our staff can make sure that we're giving you the service you need relative to the devices?
I like the mass training idea. I mean, there's a lot of supervisors that get confused on what's going on.
Sorry.
Is that on? I like the mass, training part of it.
Supervisor Robinson.
I support that iterative approach because some of us think that the iPads are nothing better than boat anchors in terms of functionality and the ability to use them. So I think getting that input is important, and having something that is usable and assists the members in doing their job would be good.
Supervisor Gisselman.
Well, I have a new iPad, I think this year, and the functionality between the keyboard and the device is very good. It's not like this. I don't know how old these are, but the functionality just doesn't work. But I think the new ones do. I think that I can certainly bring it in and show you sometime how the new iPads work, and that's not a big deal, but I would think that the new iPads, the functionality between the keyboard and the viewing screen is spot on. So I'm a great fan of iPads and what they can do.
Supervisor Baker.
Thank you. So I want to thank Administrator Leonard and the IT staff and department staff for when this was brought to their attention, they responded very quickly and resolved this issue very much, and I appreciate that greatly. Thank you.
Yeah, I would concur with that. So thank you for restoring it. So there really is no vote on this item since it's been restored through April of 2024. It's just one of those challenges, iPads or Chromebooks or some other device, apps or email or, website. I appreciate the proposed course of action as well. I don't think there's any action for us to take on it other than, I think, your email and this document that you sent summarizes exactly where we need to be, and we would, just be thankful for that and leave it at that. Additional thoughts?
My only additional thought is if anyone has, even today with the comments from Supervisor Robinson and Supervisor Gisselman, one loves iPads, one doesn't. If you feel strongly, please watch for an email that is seeking volunteers to take part in an attempt to build consensus around what device to pick. I don't know if there's any, you can talk to Corp Counsel if there's a sufficient number of shares of any one company that if you own, you need to recuse.
All right, very good. All right, moving on then, item 6A, under operational functions required by statute, ordinance, resolution, or policy, the 2023 Marathon County Bridge Culvert Aid Resolution. Mr. Lang.
Okay, we had included in your packet, we just included those yesterday due to the timing of this. The deadline for getting things into me was last Friday, so we had a pretty quick turnaround with all of these. The 23 program, there's two documents in there. One is the resolution that is the summary with the fiscal end of it down on the bottom. And then the second page is the spreadsheet listing all of the projects for the 23 program. We had 21 projects that were included in there. Our crews took the lead on building 8 of those this year, and 2 of them were actually from last fall that were carryover. So we had quite a bit of our county crews involved with these projects. Total for the program year for construction was $917,326.85. And this program is it's a 50-50 cost share. So the cost of the program is at $458,663.43. And then this is basically just that pass-through that our department oversees the administration of it, but the cost goes back in through the budget, and it's passed through and then gets sent back out to the municipalities next year after the budget is approved. Any questions on any of the projects?
I would move to approve and recommend to the county board approval of the resolution relative to county bridge and culvert aid.
Supervisor Robinson with the motion. Do we have a second? Second by Supervisor Gisselman. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, ordinance County Road K, Village of Maine speed zone reduction to 45 miles per hour. Mr. Griesbach.
Thank you. County Trunk Highway K, which is under construction right now, currently the 45 goes about out to Decatur in the area there. Just north of there at the intersection of Highway WW, we have a roundabout. The legs in and out of that thing stretch almost half mile to a mile. Just north of the roundabout, we have the technical college. We have the Village of Maine School up there and the Village of Maine Town Hall. And we also have a transition area by the intersection of Hillcrest, was basically right across from the technical college. Due to all those factors, we'd like to extend the existing speed limit that, again, is about at Decatur north to that point, which is 3.1 miles north of Cassidy Drive. Again, it'll be for the safety of all those I mentioned and to get people slow down before they hit their roundabout.
Okay, thank you. The current speed limit is
55.
Supervisor Robinson.
I would move to approve and recommend to the county board approval of the resolution establishing the speed limit on Highway K.
Motion by Supervisor Robinson, second by Supervisor Straub. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7, educational presentations and committee discussion. Item A, update on Ag Roads Improvement Program. Mr. Griesbach.
Just check with Michael on those both resolution and ordinance. We will need your signatures on those today. As far as I was not at the last meeting, I understand you wanted an update on the Ag Roads Improvement. Right at this time, we don't know what that is. It's first coming out in December, so we really can't give you much information on it. That besides that, we don't have information. Our concerns are a lot of the roads, especially going to the CAFO farms right now, are open. So we're just waiting for the rules to come down to say, okay, if a farm owns a CAFO, but he's got land 10 miles away, can those roads all be updated? But at this point, WISDOT is still trying to work out the rules, so they expect that to come out mid-December.
Okay. Any questions? All right, we'll wait till December then. Item 7B, broadband update. Supervisor Robinson.
I'm going to go to the next slide. So the broadband task force has been looking at trying to identify where we have gaps in coverage, and we started the discussion relative to the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. The areas in there in the orangish color were areas that were initially awarded to LTD Broadband out of Minnesota. There was a reverse auction on those, and you basically bid down the level of subsidy. and the FCC awarded LTD $1.3 billion nationwide, and then found that they just lacked the capability to do it, and they withdrew that support. But what happened is it took a lengthy period of time where those areas were not eligible for grant funding on a number of opportunities, and basically they were identified as being eligible for RDOF based upon being unserved or underserved, and we lost a number of rounds of grant applications to deal with them. So we focused in on those, and working with Preston at Conservation Zoning and Planning, he prepared maps, and when you show it on a countywide basis, it looks like most of the county is served, but we broke it down into quadrants of the county, in 4 quadrants. And the Broadband Task Force began looking at that, and when you start looking at it, where you can see that there are some areas that are not served. The circles represent the towers that Buck Tessel's doing. The red is the Buck Tessel fiber line. The green dots are what is Frontier is proposing to start this month. We're asking for better maps from them, and we'll be incorporating those. But you've got some areas of the county that are not currently served. If you go to the southeast quadrant, we've got good coverage between Serenity or Wittenberg-Tell. The red in the central part of Knowlton, Cronewater, Gunther is Buck Tessel's project that they'll be doing next year. Again, the green is where Frontier is going. And then when you look to the northwestern side of the county, the shaded area is the Charter Spectrum RDOF area. They're covering a good portion of that county. That'll be gigabyte service. They've made significant progress, but there's a lot of gaps in that LTD broadband area. So the discussion at the Broadband Task Force meeting last year was to focus primarily on trying to look at areas like Bern, Reed Rock, Rib Falls, Halsey, Holton, and other areas, Wayne, and then if we scroll down into some of those others, Emmett, and focus in on those areas and working with internet service providers to try to get service in those as we prepare and develop a plan for how we might approach the almost 1.1 billion the state is getting through the Broadband Equity Access Program. So we're working on that. I just wanted to highlight those efforts. I think we'll need to look at some other areas of the county where we currently don't have service, but the focus will be in that RDOF area that was part of the LTD initial award. And again, it'll be dependent upon the internet service providers because we're looking at them. But it's important, I think if you scroll down to the chart, while we've made progress, we still have 15,000 and underserved properties in the county. Underserved is between 25.3 and 120, and unserved is below the 25.3 threshold. And there are a number that don't have any coverage at all. So we're trying to address those 15,000 plus homes going forward. On a related issue, the Public Service Commission just last week announced that there will be $42 million available through the capital fund out of ARPA dollars made available by the Department of Treasury on a grant application. It's due November 7th. There's training on that tomorrow morning and then another session next week. We'll try to learn more information about that and see if there are internet service providers that would like to submit applications, and we would partner with them as we've done in the past. There's also training coming up on the state's plan and in the BEAD funding. The closest is October 25th and 26th at Nicolay College in Rylander. We will have representatives there, but we are continuing to try to work with identifying where our needs are and where we'll be focusing the efforts. And I continue to have some concerns on the northeast side of the county and up in the Harrison-Hewitt area where we don't have a lot of population. We'll need to look up there, but then again, the primary focus will be in the western side. There are other pockets like Texas and some in the town of Wausau and others that will hopefully have some interest in the part of the internet service providers, but the focus will be on those LTD areas. Any questions?
Thank you for the update. You hit it out of the park. Thank you, Supervisor Robinson. Moving on then, item 7C, CCIT update. Jerry is not here. I don't know if we have any update at all. I see what we have.
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
this is Tammy Colson. I'm going to be stepping in for Jerry today.
Cool, thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Go ahead, please.
So I just wanted to ensure that everybody has a copy of the active projects in your packet from CCITC.
We do?
All right. The first 7 projects that are listed at the top of the report have no master priority. The good news on those is that they're well underway and nearing completion. So we dropped them off our prioritization list. They should be wrapped up within the next few weeks. We also did go through and do reprioritization of all of our projects. So you'll see that we've got numbers assigned in the first column to each project. That just gives an indicator to us in terms of the order of importance that should be focusing on them. So a few updates on some of those key projects that you see in your report. From an applications perspective, we are still working on the Workday and the associated teller, which is the online payment system. We are closing out phase 1, but we have a phase 2 project that's in flight that will continue through the end of this year and probably early next year for some of the scope items that got pushed slightly further out. We're also all hands on deck completing Server 2012 remediation. So many applications needed to be upgraded to support the end of Server 2012 support, which is coming up October 10th. So final push to try to get that underway. A key project that will be kicking off soon is asset management. So that is a tool to track all of our physical assets, whether that's horizontal or vertical. It will cross fleet management, water, sewer, anything that we can track, manage, and do preventative maintenance to. We'll be kicking that off for implementation during 2024 pending capital budget approval. There's a couple of construction projects that are running concurrently currently. The Lakeview campus remodel, which currently is very active over at the conference center. We are aiming for a September 18th opening. So all hands on deck trying to get that completed. And then there's been ongoing construction at the North Central Healthcare campus. We've recently moved most of their administrative staff and some of the ancillary departments into the new space, which was the old renovated Mount View nursing home. So that's going along nicely. Infrastructure projects that are underway include both the Server 2012, as I mentioned. That's impacting both our applications team, but also the server team, because we have to build out new servers or migrate servers for some of those systems. Another key infrastructure project is the judiciary video. So getting new video systems into the courtrooms. We now have dates established for that. We have delivery of hardware, finally. So we'll be kicking that off at the end of September. And then the last kind of packet of projects is related to our endpoint devices, so how we manage those devices. We are working on Windows 11, which is going to be coming, well, it is out, but we'll have to be transitioning our computers to Windows 11, so making sure that we've got compatibility. We're also going to be deploying a new contract for our multifunction devices. Looks like we'll probably going with the same vendor, but reassessing all of the multifunction printers throughout all of the county properties, making sure we've got the right models in the right places, and hopefully maintaining good costs based off of the needs. So those are the key projects that are in flight currently. Obviously, we always have project requests that are coming through, but those are the ones that we're focusing on actively. Any questions?
It doesn't look like we have any questions. You did a very good job. Thank you. Appreciate that, Tim.
Very welcome.
All right, then, moving on to 7D, Highway Summer Construction Update.
And just give you a quick update on what our crews are doing. We've wrapped up pretty much all of our mainline paving. Highway X, we started out with a little bit in the western area, and then Highway S and O from 29 down south of the county line. Our crews started the reconstruction work on Highway B in the village of Marathon City. That's a short piece from Highway 107 up to South Road that we're doing a jurisdictional transfer afterwards. So that one's a little bit more involved than some of our other projects. We have a little bit of storm sewer to deal with and some grade changes. And so they'll be spending probably the next 2-3 weeks getting the earthwork done and the storm sewer, and then paving that towards the end of the month. Highway K is a contractor project that everybody's probably heard something about throughout the season. That one, the main line work is finishing up on that. They're looking to start installing signs next week, pending Digger's Hotline getting everything located out there again for the signpost installations. So they'll put the signs up with that and then do some finishing work towards the following week. That gets us into about the 3rd week of September. We are leaving the detour and the road closed up, though, until the roundabout is completed. That project is scheduled to get completed in probably early October. They're finishing up on the curb work on that right now. Then they have to wait for cure times on that, get some of the concrete aprons for the truck aprons in the roundabout, get that wrapped up, and then move into asphalt paving after that, and then probably a week or so final restoration. So they're anticipating kind of early October based on weather and how things go. We're also looking to get a couple of bridge polymer overlays on Highway K, do those now that they've wrapped up that work, and while the road is still kind of closed to traffic. That's a preservation system that we put on our bridges that our crews would be doing. So we're trying to squeeze that in while the detour is up and the traffic is down on that one. Highway H Bridge, up towards the Athens area, our crews finished up the majority of that work this past week and looking to do the asphalt paving next week on that and get that one wrapped up. Other than that, we've been doing a lot of shoulder maintenance now that our mainline paving is done. Crews are starting to work on some of the culverts that we know need to be replaced, and before we know it, we'll be switching equipment over and taking axles off and putting underbody plows on them. So any questions on our work that we have going on?
Looks good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 7E, North Central Regional Legislative Breakfast. Mr. Griesbach.
Every other year, we hold a legislative breakfast that we talk to our local legislators, our 18-county region. So it's coming up here on October 6th at the Holiday Inn in Stevens Point. Registration begins about 8:30, 9 o'clock the program begins, and we should be out of there hopefully by 11:15. I just need to know if you plan on 10 so I can get you registered and get you breakfast.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any questions?
If you know you're coming today, let me know. Otherwise, I need to know. I'm waiting for an email from the Holiday Inn, but I'll need to know probably by the 20th.
Supervisor Straub. Okay. There we go. All right, then. Moving on to next meeting date and time is Thursday, October 5th at 2023 at 9 a.m. Any items that you may want to bring to those if you will email, as we normally do. Thank you, David, for reminding us. Any announcements?
Just a reminder before you leave to sign those resolutions and ordinance that Michael has.
Very good. All right, then we're moving on to item number 9. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Supervisor Soibert, second by Supervisor Straub. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.